Hey guys, Desolate Magic here, and in case you didn't hear about it, well, Aether Revolt is a little bit broken. The card Mechanized Production, well, let's be honest. They made a mistake when they designed it. I don't think anybody disagrees here, it should have said non-token artifact. I guess they forgot clues and servos were a thing. So you get out 8 and win the game. So everybody's been asking, what's the ideal deck to put this in? And I think I have it as far as speed, durability, and consistency, I guess I would say. I looked in general, as far as cast cost, color sharing, just as fast as possible effectiveness, creating clues is the easiest, and I was leaning towards that anyway because I've seen some really messed up clue decks. Now this is just something I threw together in like an hour, so without proper search functions available because Aether Revolt has to be searched separately in the Gatherer, I don't think this is like the final form of this deck. It's just an example of how unbelievably broken this card is. Alternate win conditions have always been the bane of Magic the Gathering. They just come out of nowhere. They're glass cannons, they either work or they don't. And to make them work, usually you have to build your entire deck around it, which means you don't have a secondary win condition. So they're just annoying, unfriendly, and stupid. So, Mechanized Production, 4 copies of it, obviously. Now you have to pull it, you have to cast it as soon as possible, you have to get out 8 of something, preferably clues, and then you have to wait a turn and protect it in the meantime. Sounds hard to do, it's not. It's already blue, you're halfway there. So first up, Trail of Evidence. It does cost 3, wish it cost 2. By the way, this looks totally mad in foil. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, investigate. If you want to guarantee in the long term and even in the short term that you're going to generate X amount of something, generate it with a passive trigger that goes off over and over and over without you having to cast another spell, pull another card, or do anything really. I mean, obviously this one doesn't precisely fit the bill, but you get it. It's a passive ongoing trigger. Next up, we've got, well, in this deck at least, the second most reliable or effective generator of clue tokens. It's Tireless Tracker. Simple, landfall, investigate. If all else fails, sack a bunch of clues, draw a bunch of cards, and then you have a giant Tireless Tracker that you can beat them in the face with. I guess this would also be the backup win condition. And that is the only creature in the entire deck. So next up we've got Anticipate. For 2 you get a free card and you get to look at 3 cards so you can sort things that aren't Mechanized Production out of the way. You can also really drive up your land count, fix your colors, that kind of stuff. It's just the perfect card. Next up is the garbage version of it, Nagging Thoughts. Look at the top 2 cards of your library, put one into your hand and the other one into your graveyard. So you mouth through 2 cards, get to draw 1 for free. It is quite literally 1 step down from Anticipate. I mean, yeah, the card goes to your graveyard instead. Who cares? You're not playing Delirium. Next up, we've got Negate. It can either protect your Mechanized Production or just stop somebody from casting something that's too detrimental to the game state. And next up, we've got one of the most powerful, most underrated, most unbelievably important cards in Standard right now, Contingency Plan. Look at the top 5 cards in your library, put any number of them into your graveyard, and the rest back on top your library in any order. So you just saved yourself 5 turns if you basically whiffed on this. Otherwise, you look for the closest copy of Mechanized Production and put it on top your library. Otherwise, if you're 1 mana short for casting it, or you're just completely screwed on green mana, I mean, there you go. You can arrange your next, I'll say 3 turns on average, if not 5, and just make sure that you win the game. I mean, it's as simple as that. For 2 mana, you make sure you win the game. You take your next 5 turns and basically fix all of them. I mean, you can't understate how important and how powerful this card is. Next up is a delay card that also brings out a clue. So you tap target creature, it doesn't untap during its controller's next untap step. It's a real shame that this is a sorcery, but then you do get to investigate. And if you have that other card out, the enchantment, you get to investigate twice. So obviously the Trail of Evidence card is a high value target when you're scrying and drawing. Next up, well, you guys remember Dig Through Time and Treasure Cruise were both so broken they had to be banned from a whole bunch of different formats, honestly. I think Commander and Modern, at least one of them. So Reverse Engineer, for, I'll just go ahead and say it, 2 mana, you can draw 3 cards. Oh, you have to tap 3 of your clues too, you know, because that matters. Early game, this one's a little rough, but if you go more than 2 or 3 turns without generating 3 clues, you're going to lose anyway, and you probably should have mulliganed. So this should work. 3 cards is an awful lot of counter spells and tap spells. I mean, oh boy. Next up, we've got one of my personal favorites, Select for Inspection. As soon as something swings at you, boom, return tapped creature to its owner's hand. That's usually when you would target a tapped creature. And then you get to scry 1, which is, just getting you closer to the cards that you need. Now that is the exact deck list as it sits, but I really wanted to put Crush of Tentacles in it just for fun. It's kind of high mana, but if you started the game holding one, it could be devastating before you get hit down to 20. And you could spend all of your scry and draw either going for Mechanized Production or, if it's not happening, picking up 1 mana per turn until you can actually generate the mana, which is only 6, to bounce everything back to hand. And then if you were to cast a simple little 1-cost spell and then pay the surge cost, you get 2 8/8 blue octopus tokens and basically win the game on the next turn. Well, actually, considering there's 1 creature in this deck, we'll give it 2 turns. That's going to be 16 damage, and they didn't take 4 already. So guess what? That's it. That's the whole damn deck. Obviously, I can't test it. I don't think X-Mage supports Aether Revolt yet. I didn't actually check. But I would suspect that with the scry, the draw, the control, the bounce, the investigate, everything, almost regardless of what you draw, and then also add in the fact that you can scry and draw your head off. I mean, there's like 12 cards total that do that. You're going to get this combo off. So Mechanized Production, throw it out, attach it to 1 clue, and then during your next upkeep, if you own 8 clues, you win the game, and you will, and you also probably are holding a negate. You have the tools available to stop from getting hit almost indefinitely. You'll have 7 cards in your hand almost at any given time, or at the very least 5. And so when you get Mechanized Production out, you can make sure that you cast it, have a negate, and have 6 lands on the field. I mean, that's not unreasonable. Now, if you really want to go nuts with servos, you got to go white, and white-blue actually looked doable, but this deck looked faster. Also, take note that most of the mana fixing that's blue-green is like a joke right now price-wise. I mean, you can get them for $2-3. Not exactly a popular color. So this deck is by no means finished. I didn't even pick out the land base. I just built it as a concept to show off how stupid that card is. I might build this. I really don't want to be that dickish at F&M where it's like, haha, alternate win condition, while I completely shut you down from playing anything in your entire deck. It's like, yeah, it wins, but I mean, it's practically cheating to win. I mean, this card is just stupidly overpowered. So needless to say, don't build this deck, but do prepare for somebody else to do it because they will. I mean, when Gate Crash was big, get out 10 gates and win with nothing but board wipes, life gain, card draw, and all that. I mean, that's what people were playing. I mean, looking at that deck, I couldn't even think of a way to beat that deck. It was almost exclusively control cards and then just gates. A little bit of draw, a little bit of, I think, scry. I don't know if that was invented yet. I don't remember. Something equivalent to scry, I believe. It was really quite stupid. And here we go again. Thanks, Wizards, for letting garbage like this back into the game again. I'll see you guys next video.